Hello, and welcome to the first episode of College Football Unscripted Coaches Chronicles. I'm here with my co-host, Anthony. And this week, and this series, we're going to have a look at everything coach-related for college football. And for the week of November 3rd, boy, there's a lot to cover. A lot of coaches are on the hot seat, and a lot of coaches have been fired. So the first coach that we will look at, it's a little bit of old news, I'll be honest, but Billy Napers with Florida. Have they been worse or have they been better since his termination?
Uh, First of all, thanks for having me on, brother. I really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure. Um, I'm gonna say worse off. I know this might shock some people, maybe including yourself, but I'm gonna say worse off. Uh, they don't have the talent on the field
No.
to do anything better than what we've seen past weeks, and you can't blame the coach for that. The coach coaches what he's got, and what he's got isn't isn't very good. I'm sorry, with all due respect to all the Gators fans out there. Um, I have a good buddy who's a big Gators fan. He's gonna hate me for saying that, but I I, I have to say we're soft. What do you think about it?
I think, well, funny you say that coaches have to coach what they have. With college football, a lot of these coaches are responsible for what they have, right? So the
Yeah, you're
success,
right.
the lack of success on the field isn't entirely on the players, but it's also on the recruiting. And at the head of recruiting is often the head coach. So 100% it's been worse. We saw they did have a close one against the University of Georgia,
Mhm.
but can they return back to the heyday of Florida Gator football in the past? That remains to be seen. The next one that I have bringing up that is relevant is Davos Sweeney with Clemson. He's also on the hot seat.
His seat's hot. His seat's hot. I'm telling you, his seat's hot.
He definitely doesn't need a blanket. Let me put it that way.
No, no, he's taking some clothing off and doing some stuff, and he's begging for his job a little bit. Clemson, like Florida, like Clemson now, like you think of Clemson, like they were up there with Bama, and they were competing, and they were doing those things, and it hasn't been like that. They lost a lot, but I mean that's what happens. They get drafted. You get a good team like that, they get drafted to the league, and I understand. But like you said about Florida, man, like the coach is responsible for the team, and that what you said there puts a lot of things in perspective that I wasn't really thinking of before. But you're 100% right. His seat's hot. It's hot, boy. You can roast some marshmallows on his seat.
Well, and especially with a historic program like Clemson, they're what 2-4 conference play, 3-5 overall. That doesn't
Unacceptable.
shout Clemson to me. Especially
No.
back, I remember even a couple of years ago, there was people having them in the same conversation as Alabama, and
Yeah.
their fall from grace has been hard and long. So
Yeah.
I think he's definitely a coach that there's speculation he could be fired as soon as tomorrow, right?
Well, and it's funny you mentioned you bring up Alabama as well. Like they went through a rough little patch when Saban left, but I mean like they're doing all right. Like they're coming back. They're
Yeah.
they're they're a team that I keep an eye out always because you can't knock them out anymore.
You know who's one team you can knock out? Auburn. Hugh Freeze. Absolutely atrocious play this last week. I know we talked about it on the podcast. He's gone. He's not on the hot seat anymore and he's not even Freeze because he's fired.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The freeze couldn't stop the seat from getting too hot, kicking them out of there. But it was a disaster. You look at the last game. What did 3 points they put up? Like 3 points. That's just disgusting alone. And not to mention like You know the guys on the boys on the field, they don't even look motivated to play for him anymore. He lost the room, and
It's
once you do that, it's over. It's done.
yeah, and it's pretty hard to keep the room and then keep the fans too, right? You're putting up 3 points a game. That is more boring than than some old fairy tales, right? That's not going to
Exactly.
attract butts to seats. That's not going to get there. And
No,
as we see, consequence of that, you gone.
you're gone. And but you
So
know it's sorry before we skip on the next one here. It's I'd like to see Auburn get a good one, get a good one, because that's a school that needs to come back. College, I want to say this here, college football is better when Auburn is a better football team. Shout out Cam Newton.
and speaking of shout outs, another shout out. LSU firing their coach earlier this year. What do you think about that?
To me, he never fit in with LSU. It was a weird hire from the beginning, and I think you'll agree with me on this one.
Yep.
Notre Dame is a big school, yes, I agree with you, but they're an independent. They're not showing off. They're not having these these games televised prime times all the time. Man, they are, but not all the time like LSU and I don't know. Just never was a fit from the beginning, and this is what happens.
Yeah, so like kind of echoing just being able to get that fit, right? And
Yeah,
just like how you said, if you lose a room, if you lose the players on the field with a system that isn't compatible with their play, it's not gonna work out very well, right? I think
no, no.
if I'm correct, Brian Kelly's getting what 95 million or
Yeah, yeah.
more to not coach, right?
Well, he signed a it was a 10 year deal, and he only did 3 out of the 10, I believe. So he's probably walking away with some good change there, I think.
Absolutely. Uh, and he just joins a very long list of guys that have been dismissed, right? Like
Yeah, very
in
long.
this last season alone, there's LSU, Penn State, Florida, Oklahoma State, Arkansas, Virginia Tech, UCLA,
Woo!
Oregon State
It's
Beavers,
hot. It's hot in here. It's hot in here. Hat comes off.
UAB Blazers, Colorado State. All of those teams have fired their coaches in the last what 2 months,
Yeah, yeah,
and there's so many more coaches that are on the hot seat. Like we mentioned, Clemson, right?
yeah,
Another team that's on the hot seat, and obviously I know this is a little bit different because there's some health issues there and whatnot. Deion Sanders in Colorado. Colorado
yeah,
is.
yeah,
I know they obviously lost some of their key pieces, but they're a shadow of their former selves. They got
yeah. Oh, yeah.
smoked by Arizona yesterday, 59-17.
Yeah,
Like,
unacceptable. Unacceptable. Yeah. And I was a big fan of Dion. Like he had me going. I bought those sunglasses that he was selling, and I believed in the cowboy hat and the big chain and the Jesus talk, that's Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. But you lose a lot of people to the draft. It changes things. But like you said, you are responsible to bring that change. You are responsible for that change on how it should go. Pardon me, I don't know, I messed that up, but on how it should go.
yeah,
And when it goes poorly, and like you said, I know he's got some health issues and all that things. When it goes poorly, the real you kind of shows out, and it's not showing out good. Like he was a talked about to replace Mike McCarthy in Dallas, and before the guy they have there now, he was talked about, and now to go from that to where he is now, I don't
it's
know, man. I don't know about Colorado State.
and it's one of those things where, like as I said, off the ice or off the field stuff too. But you got to get performance both on and on the field and at practice, and whatever's happening, just it's not clicking,
Yep.
and it's
Yep.
not
And
clicking
that
by
locker room, they
a majority.
no, and that locker room, like he changed a lot with the putting the D's for the dogs on the shirt, and that was sick. That was great. But this team isn't buying into that stuff anymore. So you got to change, and you need to change fast before you end up without a job. And I don't know
And
many people are who's gonna hire him, after this.
yeah, and speaking of hiring after, there's one last team I do want to talk about.
Yeah,
North Carolina with Bill Belichick. Speaking
Big
of getting
Bill,
hired after a big gig, right? He goes there and
Billy B.
he he's underperformed in his first couple games. I know the last
Yeah,
couple
shout out his girlfriend.
exactly controversial there. Uh, the last
Yeah.
the last couple games he's reined in the defense, so maybe he's not on as hot of a seat as he was. But I think that's a guy to keep an eye on for the future.
So I'm gonna have to disagree with you, Tyler, on that one.
Okay.
Only because it's Bill Belichick, man. Like you're not bringing in a coach like that for 1 year and getting rid of him. It's Bill Belichick, the greatest coach in football history. The guy who's won 5 Super Bowls. The guy who brought a team from nothing to something. And you give him one year of a new not of a new thing to go into, a new job, a new perspective, a new aspect, right? He's dealing with kids pretty much. Like, I hate to say kids in this way because they're universities people and they're grown too, but kids in a way, kids that are getting paid big bucks, right? And something that he's not had to ever deal with. So you're gonna have to give him more than a year. And I think UNC knew this, hiring him. I think that's why they gave him the contract they gave him, and I think he'll be okay for a good this year and next year, let's say. But after
You,
that,
you make some
it's
good points. I think the prestige alone buys him maybe a year or two, right? Uh,
exactly.
I think the bigger concern would be does he think, oh, maybe I've done everything I can do. This college thing isn't working out. Is he the one that decides he's on a hot seat, right?
Yeah, that could be a big factor. I mean, his age. He's got a good girl by his arm, I guess, right? And but yeah, man, it could be. It could just be, like I'm not dealing with children, kids anymore. I don't want to deal with it, and I'm done. I've done what I have to do, and I'm moving on. So it could be. You might be onto something there, Tyler. You might be onto something.
So, uh, for that reason, maybe keeping tuned as to what the UNC Tar Heels are doing. But that wraps up the first edition of Coaches Chronicles. Thank you so much for tuning in, and keep in touch for the next week. As well, just like the college football schedule doesn't stop, neither do coaches on hot seats. Follow us on all your local channels. By local channels, I mean social media. Snapchat, YouTube, Instagram, all that. CFB Unscripted. Thank you so much. Have a great one.